Thanks to Ada and Paul for sharing your thoughts and actions in paving a way for sustainable countryside. Let me share some thoughts on CCO's perspective. First of all, let's have a look at what CCO has done in the past 5 years, and then what we think is the road ahead. Agenda on countryside has been on the global regional agenda, as well as our nation's top policy agenda, and in 2017, in Hong Kong's policy address. In fact, Hong Kong is very rich in its own architectural environment, ecological richness, and cultural attractiveness. However, some remote villages are abandoned, leaving buildings in ruins. Without human activities, tradition and culture are also fading. Not only that, ecological environment is also deteriorating. With diminishing life in the abandoned villages, biodiversity is also degrading, with invasive plants taking over former paddy fields. Just like these two photos taken 50 years apart on Lai Chi Wall. So, in government's 2017 policy address, it was announced that Countryside Conservation Office would be established to coordinate conservation projects that promote sustainable development of remote countryside, with $1 billion set aside, with priority given to village revitalization of Lai Chi Wall and nature conservation in Charlottetown. It's hoped that with efforts from government, the community, and the villagers, we can all together pave a way towards urban-rural symbiosis. As countryside conservation is relatively a new concept in Hong Kong, our office has to take very careful steps in preserving or revitalizing the countryside while still maintaining the essence of their own characters. We take a three-pronged approach: assess, that is research, act, take actions, and advocate to share knowledge. For example, in assessing the villages, we use UAV to survey the target villages, turning those data into a 3D model so as to facilitate our further comprehensive understanding of the villages in order that we can plan and coordinate our work more strategically and precisely. About ACT, enhancing accessibility is our top priority, such as pushing for peer improvement and funding water bus to Lai Chi Wall to increase the travel capacity to these areas. Repairing hiking trail with natural material and raising footpath from flooded areas to ensure a safe journey to and from Kok Po village. And to pave a ramp uphill to Mui Chi Lam for 1 kilometer to allow wheeled carriers to take daily necessities uphill instead of carrying them on shoulders, making things more possible. Also, on enhancing infrastructure, we fund projects to turn ruins into gardens, ruins into community gathering ground, and we are also planning village sewer system to improve hygiene and drainage system to improve farmland irrigation and avoid flooding. Also, through different funding schemes on art and culture, We aim to bring out and sustain the rich traditional culture through play theater, like 24節氣, through playing, through theater, performance, life experience, and food tasting. Advocate is not good enough for working within our own circles. Bigger impacts with ripple effect, or Dr. Yao say ripple effect or butterfly effect. We need promulgation of our knowledge and thoughts to the public through different media, like newspaper, online social media, Facebook, Instagram, TV, radio, visits, or seminar like today's conference. For all these efforts, we strive to maintain a balance of values, like man and nature, man is you, we, self, or entity. Nature is biodiversity and characteristics. Tradition and convention versus smart and innovative. Architecture and culture. To move forward towards countryside sustainability, what are important as our next steps? Let me share 3 major aspects that we consider worth considering and stepping forward. One is proactive conservation plan, then Laymen's licensing guide, and advancing net zero. Following other details. Since the establishment of our office in 2018, we have carried out various projects, such as, carrying out a survey for a geospatial model, studies on licensing of guest house and food business, improvement of hiking trail, paving a 1 kilometer long ramp up to Wichilam, sewage and drainage, studies in Lai Chi Wo, and constructing an eco-smart public toilet in Lai Chi Wo. That will be elaborating further later in this presentation, and ongoing planning for other projects riding on past experience and insights. Through the Countryside Conservation Funding Scheme that a lot of the speakers have mentioned, we funded NPOs in various conservation projects of a wide spectrum ranging from natural environment, built heritage, cultural and historic assets. Up to now, there are a total of 33 projects in various remote countryside areas with 165 million funding approved. We got an encouraging amount of events held with very active public participation. With the pioneering steps of countryside conservation kicked off and led by various non-profit organizations, generating a ripple effect from Lai Chi Wo to Mui Chi Lam and Kap Tong, we have gathered various experience and gained the momentum in the past few years. Our office is confident enough now to try to curate a proactive conservation plan for other villages, such as Kupo. Our office has the benefit of an overview on the planning and land information and interdepartmental consultation avenues within the government. We are also duty-bound to coordinate various conservation efforts in the community. At the same time, various NPOs interested in conservation work in Kupo have certain areas of overlap, such as surveying on local history and identifying land status of their interested village houses. In order to avoid wasting valuable resources and fatigue of the interviewed villagers or government officials, it is very good for us to do all this coordinating work, information collecting work, and steer for some direction. We call this proactive conservation plan. Our office has studied basic information of Kukbo together with different NPOs and identified different themes for conservation of different zones, such as historic and cultural zone, community zone, agricultural zone, public open space zone, and education zone. The progress of different NPOs, countryside conservation projects, are promising. Now, transforming from NPO-led funding schemes, projects, to CCO-led proactive conservation plan, we still maintain interactive dialogue and collaboration with different NPOs to explore and implement innovative ideas for countryside conservation. We see this as a strategic step in sustaining countryside conservation. Apart from starting a new approach of proactive conservation plan, we're heading for a set of layman's licensing guide for guest house and food businesses. When we go to remote countryside, it's very natural for us to expect somewhere to sit down, relax, take some food, or even stay overnight to gaze the stars, hear the sound of the insects, or to see the sunrise. Is that what we do when we go overseas? To find attractive B&Bs after a long day's walk? However, we cannot easily find such licensed premises in Hong Kong's countryside. Why? We have to ask why. Look at this diagram. Village houses in our remote countryside are typically small houses built of brick, timber, with small windows, roofed with tiles. They cannot fulfill the prevailing prescriptive licensing requirements for guest houses and food businesses in terms of fire sprinkler system that requires a water tank inside a small house, fire rating certification. How can you ask a 400-year-old house for such? Lighting and ventilation, those windows and doors are very small to protect themselves from robbers. And structural strain proof? No. Thus, it was announced in CE's 2020 policy address to support ecotourism, better serve visitors, and help revitalize desolate villages. The Countryside Conservation Office, that's my office, will work with relevant bureaus and departments to jointly develop a set of licensing requirements and procedural guidelines designed especially for guest house and catering businesses in countryside areas, making reference to the special nature and restrictions of rural settings. We have carried out studies on how other places deal with licensing in old village areas. And we carried out interdepartmental discussions with Lands Department, FEHD, Buildings Department, Fire Service Department, and Home Affairs Department on how to develop this set of new guidelines. However, we have to ensure we won't compromise the basic safety and health and hygiene. Taking Lychee War as a real case study, we have successfully facilitated Hong Kong Countryside Foundations in obtaining guest house licenses for all the 11 village houses just a few months ago. With lessons learned from different real cases that we have dealt with, we are now precipitating thoughts and agreed practices into a simple guide that can be used by laymen to make future licensing applications easier, certain, time and cost saving. Hopefully, this layman's guide will be published within this year. By this, we hope that there will be more licensed guest house and food businesses in our countryside for supporting ecotourism, as well as economic sustainability. We also expect that with the certainty of licensing and legal operations, we can see more decent and characteristic licensed guest house and restaurants in our countryside. That's another step towards countryside sustainability. Now come to my third point. With a commitment of carbon neutral in 2050 under the Climate Action Plan 2050, we all have to take effective steps to reduce carbon footprint. Currently, building accounts for 39% of energy-related carbon emission globally. Whilst in our countryside at the same time, the difficulty of finding a decent toilet is always a hurdle for most people thinking of visiting our remote countryside, no matter how beautiful that is. So what should we do? Since Lai Chi Wo has been identified as our priority village for revitalization, more and more people are paying visits there. The existing public toilet is no longer adequate in receiving the visitors. So we have decided to build an additional new public toilet and to demonstrate our determination in reducing carbon emission, making use of smart design, smart technology, whilst at the same time make it wheelchair and family friendly. This will be the Lai Chi Wo Eco Smart Toilet to be completed in a couple of months. Apart from wheelchair and family friendly, the design and choice material and technology have achieved the World Green Building Council's standard of advancing net zero. That is, 40% reduction in embodied carbon in the construction and 100% carbon offset during operation. It is believed that this will be Hong Kong's first building achieving such high standard. We use air improvement photovoltaic, AIPV, to harvest solar energy whilst cleaning the air around. MIC construction to make it more precise and waste reduction. Reuse of waste material in the construction and use of passive design to induce natural daylight and natural ventilation, as well as smart sensors to help energy and management efficiency. Vacuum flushing also reduces water consumption substantially. Pioneering actions always meet challenges. I think Paul will agree with me when he started his first movie investment. We have encountered a lot of challenges in building our first toilet in this remote countryside using new technology. Although we met such challenges, we know and we have learned lessons. This first advancing net zero building can be considered as our version 1 countryside eco smart toilet. With our experience gained, we'll continue to improve further for version 2, 3, 4, like our smartphone, with more and more user-friendly features. So we welcome everyone's feedback when you pay a visit to this toilet in a couple of months when it's built. Meanwhile, we are redeveloping a toilet in Charlottetown, turning this dry toilet into a flushing toilet. We also aim to achieve highest advancing net zero standard. As can be seen from the photo, the surrounding is covered by trees. It seems impossible to harvest adequate solar energy to offset operational energy. We have to think of innovative way to offset operational energy. We welcome ideas from you. So, as a conclusion, to move towards countryside sustainability, apart from the above 3 steps that we are going to take, the most important thing is to have joint efforts of you and we and all stakeholders in the government, community, villages, like this Chinese character HIP, adding 3 forces together. Thank you. Join us. Visit our Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Tang, for the inspiring speech. Thank you.